Oh boy. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Lying in bed this morning, finding it very difficult to sleep, tossing and turning about the same things I've been tossing and turning for so long that this hair has turned white. But it's natural, came out pretty cool, I would suspect. Here's what I want to say with you, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard me say a lot of things about everything, and I depicted the moments in time. So there might have been a time I was condemning something that was good, lifting up something that was condemnable. And that happens with all of us. So the message that I have for you today, after having gotten on my knees and prayed and told God I was tired of crying, that I confess that I can't handle this without the guidance, the true guidance of the source that is responsible for the truth. So I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, to share with you as much of that truth that's been given to me in that moment. We are living in a world that is controlled and ruled by Satan. Some of you say Satan, some of you say the devil, some of you see them as the same. But just so we don't be confused about it, we, the human race, is controlled by evil. Now, I think we all know what evil is. To some degree, it's common. So all of the arguments we've held, they're no good. They're invalid. The reason is because every last one of us are controlled by evil. Yes, there are good people in the world, but I want you to know, good just ain't good enough. But we are all here, and I know you would ask yourself 1,000 times, why? In light of what I've just spoken. And the truth of the matter is, I can't tell you. But now I can tell you why I'm here. I'm here to share this moment with you, to give you truth few people, if any, will share with you. And that is, we are children of Satan. We are children of the devil. We are children of evil. I know that hurts you, but let me ask you this, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world, is there hunger amongst you? Are there people amongst you who do not have access to food? Whether they're young, babies, middle-aged, old, do they exist? I'm sure your answer is yes, and I want to tell you why. Because you are controlled by evil. That is the only way hunger can exist. Are there amongst you those who are shelterless, homeless, living in the street, living in boxes, eating out of garbage cans? Are there any, wherever you are in the human race, are there any amongst you that's experiencing these conditions? If so, it exists because evil is the boss. Now, I know that's a challenge to you, ladies and gentlemen, because you haven't heard it before, especially when you think you are good. And oh yes, you might be of that good clique. But remember, good just ain't good enough. Are there those amongst you who desire education, but have been limited and cannot receive it though they want it? Is there any amongst you on the human race anywhere on earth? If it is, it exists because education in the world is under the auspices of evil. Now, let me ask you this before I go. where humans exist across the world, are there any amongst you, anywhere, that's sick, diseased, dying, don't have access to care, health care, anywhere? I'm sure you would agree that it is. And I want to remind you that it exists because evil runs the show. There would be no way that lack of health care, lack of education, lack of shelter, lack of food, there's no way it could exist unless evil. Now, some of you might say, well, yes, evil is amongst us, but it only exists. I want to tell you, if evil exists because evil represents one thing, then righteousness exists because it only accepts one thing. And as evil will not accept anything that's righteous, then righteous will not accept anything that's evil. So, if it's righteous for people to be on this earth, to have food, to have clothing, to have shelter, to have access to education and health care, if it's righteous, then it should exist, or we who claim to be righteous should not exist. By choice. That does not mean that we will kill ourselves, but we will put ourselves in a position that evil will single us out and say, that's too good to be here. That's 100%. And if it's not saying that, it is because the human race is controlled under the power of evil. Now you might say, well, how these wonderful benefits are going to be made available to all of the people of the world. Let me ask you this, ladies and gentlemen, who would receive them? You just said all the people of the world. And let me ask you, what role should they play in the process? Well, housing does not just exist. You got to build them. Some food exists, but not all. You got to grow it. You got to care for it. Education, you got to monitor it. You got to be able to identify, label it, preserve it, use it. Healthcare, you know what that's all about. I probably don't, but I tell you what, I know I'm feeling healthy. So that means that you, the people, blacks, whites, old if they wanna, young when they can, Americans, Russians, Germans, wherever you are, would experience and express these same codes of conduct. Or where you don't see these things, it is because it is under the power of evil. Now you say, well, God was in control of everything, and is. But you got power that has been given to you. And it's called, evidently, by choice. So wherever you are, whatever you're speaking, whatever you're thinking, in this hell you exist by choice. And yes, I come again to speak to you and to say to you out of love. I'm not mad at you, because the truth of the matter is we do not know any better. Who's gonna tell us? Books can't speak. It is the heart that is expressed through action that speaks. So who's gonna tell us every time a person stands up because they have come to that precipice? Then evil rises up and kills them. Give them a free ticket out of here. Told them that they are not welcome in hell. And all of us here in the world today, all of us here in America today are welcome in hell. We might talk about the Trumpers. Yes, they are confused. But I'm talking that those of you who are talking about the Trumpers, why are you talking? You are just as confused. Well, ain't that something? That's life. But this morning, I feel good because I've shared with you maybe something I'm sure I've shared before. But today, I think you might believe me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time on this particular day. And until next, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.